I'd like to welcome everyone to the Board of Health meeting for Monday, February 10th, 2024. We have 2 members present, which constitutes a quorum. First thing, did you get a chance to read the minutes?
I did.
Oh, could I get a motion to accept the minutes
Motion to accept the minutes.
for September 9th, October 15th, and December 9th? Motion made, I second it. All those in favor? Mills, yes.
Fielder, yes.
Okay, next one is a big one. The review of the existing fee schedule and suggested fee increases.
Yep, so this was an exercise we were asked to undertake, and as I started going through it, I have been able to document that it looks like 2006 was the last time that we touched the food permits. The betterment fee was established in 2013 and hasn't been touched. And we have a fee that was established in 2014 that had to do with the fees for new and innovative systems as well as large systems. So we have not gone through this exercise in quite a long time. One of the things that I used in making some of my recommendations is kind of a costing analysis that basically walked through the majority of these things are things that are done by Tim and Mark. Their hourly wage. There is a factor that can be applied that depending on who you talk to is 20 to 40%. That is those things that the town is paying for above and beyond their hourly wage. So health insurance, Medicare taxes, workers' comp insurance, general liability insurance, and all of that good stuff. And when we look at some of these, especially the septic related ones, the fees for actually construction. So when we talk about a repair permit, we're talking about from beginning to end. We're talking about the paper coming in, it going through the admin. Tim takes it next, does some historic verification on our records as well as where it is in the zone 2. Then it goes to Mark for a 8-page checklist that has to be gone through. Oftentimes there are revisions that are needed. There's communications with the engineer. There's a review of another revision potentially when it comes in. If it's a repair and it requires a local upgrade approval, it comes to my desk for a review. Then we finally issue the permit, which then requires 2 to 4 site visits and inspections on site, and then is followed up by the actual review and issuance of a certificate of compliance. So all of that time together at our current rate of $100 would amount to about an hour and 15 minutes. Not that we need to go all the way to supporting probably the 5 or 6 hours. But
Getting closer.
we should really be getting closer, especially since we haven't looked at this in so long. The other thing we can consider as we're looking at this is there really isn't a lot of difference between what we have to do for a repair permit versus what we have to do for a new construction permit. I'd even almost venture to say that the repair permits are a little bit more complicated because we're checking closer for setbacks to things that are already there. They are the ones that do go to local upgrade approval and cross my desk. I'd almost make the argument that there's really no need to have 2 separate fees, that simply in a septic permit fee should be somewhere between the $300 and the $400 range. The existing new construction one is $300, so I would suggest going to $400.
All right, this is kind of.
Sure, or you want to just go down them straight?
Well, yeah, you know what it is? I'm trying to
This where's that?
just kind of see what it is and then what's proposed.
Yep, so that's this sheet. That's gonna be this sheet,
Right.
okay?
So I see the
These-
current and then proposed. Okay.
These are permits that we do through Permit Eyes, so it's easy for me to export
Right.
what has come into the office. It's alphabetical as opposed
Good
to this
old
is how
Permit eyes.
we we post. So if we start at the top, we have food permits.
Right.
We have historically looked at those as a workload based on the number of seats that they have. A smaller sub shop, probably with smaller number of seats, probably isn't going to have as big a kitchen or as many different processes as a large restaurant with 75 seats or more. So that's where that historically has come from. As you can see, for each of those, I suggested a kind of a rounding up that represented anywhere from 11 to 14%.
Now, why can't on like the 25 to 75 and 75 and up, why can't we go up, say 250? I mean, some of these other towns are all over the place, but
Mhm.
I still think 225's like a $25 increase isn't, I don't, like I was saying before, Easton doesn't have to be the cheapest. It's nice to probably be, I would think, in like the 70th percentile, which is kind of what we usually strive to be. So I don't see why, and I'm just one person, and totally open to feedback, but why we can't increase them. You know, if you look at like Bridgewater, 250, Norton 175, Mansfield 200 to 400, Stoughton 275, Foxborough 100 to 1,000, Sharon 200. So they're all good comps. Like if we kick that up to even just 250, just every little bit, especially considering when the next time we'll evaluate this would be, you know, it's been 20 years. But I mean, Darren,
I mean, you could also.
the comps support the increase. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
So.
And there's nothing to say that we need to stay with that same structure of 0 to 24, 25 to 75, 75. And up.
Yeah.
We could go anything under 75 is $300, anything over. So you can, and that's what you see in Foxborough's. Theirs are different. That 100
Yeah.
to 1,000 is based on seats. Mansfield does it by a risk factor. Basically how complicated the processes are that are going on there. It would take a much deeper dive for us to kind of jump over to that.
Yeah.
Um,
Plus that's,
It's hard, and then it
Kind of
also gives business
subjective.
owners,
I
it gives
mean,
business owners a clear cut.
if you saw me make a PB&J versus my wife,
yeah, and it
clearly I have a
also,
risk factor.
if we were to kind of change that, we would be looking at another change in our software program,
Yeah.
which could incur a cost.
That's fair.
This is just a matter of having SoftWrite change
Yeah.
the actual number. The thing with the food establishments, for the most part, we're just coming out of renewal. So most of them won't feel this until November of next year.
Okay.
I am open to either way. I'm fine with keeping it the way it is, but if it streamlines it and could you do is like 0 to 50 and 50
So I think
and up?
if we change, I'm not sure if we changed that portion of it, how much would be involved with permitize.
It would definitely be a change in the application
Yeah,
and
Okay,
as opposed to
so
them just editing the number.
if we just leave it as is, my thought on the first one, so 0 to 24, going from 175 to 200, that's a minimal increase. I feel bad that it's that high of an amount, given it's a smaller establishment, but it hasn't been an increase in 20 years. So a $25 increase, I don't find unreasonable. And then going from 25 to 75, I kind of feel like that should be 250. That's still right in the middle of these comps.
Mhm.
And again, please disagree with me if I'm off base. And then 75 and up, I don't think it's unreasonable to go from 250 to 300. So they'd be going from 225 to 300. It's 75, it's a $75 increase
Yep.
on a large establishment like that. I don't think that's off the wall.
Is it yearly?
it is.
It's once a year, and as I said, for the majority of them, you probably have a handful that haven't renewed.
It's very small.
Yeah, it would only be new businesses.
Actually, they're all done. I mean, it's a new business that would come in.
Yeah.
It's just, when you look at the percentage, if you made it 300, the percentage increase is a lot more, which, you know, if people are gonna fight about it, you know, that, you know.
Again, the towns actually really support in that category.
Correct.
That's kind of what I use when I'm,
Mm,
you know, whether it's negotiating or whatever, it's comps are kind of hard to argue.
yeah.
So, how,
Move on to the next one.
yeah, I made little notes. I mean, I don't know how we're gonna like vote on all of this as a whole or,
If you can agree on a slate, or we can do all the food, and if you want to vote on increasing the food permits, we can take them in blocks.
okay,
So the food market, just so you understand, greater than 20,000 square feet per internal we do it by internal operation. So the big Y, the bakery is $200. The deli is $200. Each food operation, you basically think about them as being individual food services under one big roof.
That's right.
So we did it that way, just in case if we had to shut down
A
a
section.
big Y, we would only shut down the section
The
versus
section.
the entire supermarket.
Got it.
now, do the other towns do it that way? Are these numbers reflective of? Or is it tough?
Everybody
it's
does
tough
it differently.
You know what I mean?
Everybody
So
does
like,
it
I look at
differently.
200 and I say that's kind of low, but,
Per section.
but because it's, but then again, it's per section. So how many sections are there in Big Y?
Like 6 or 7.
Yeah, so I think going to what you're proposed with
Is reasonable.
is fine.
Okay. Retail food, this is same type of schematic. Based on, so less than 10 feet of linear space, that's your gas station that has nothing but a candy bar. And then your 10 to 25s and your 25 plus would be like a CVS.
CVS, yeah.
I think 110, I think you could go to 125 on that one. Going from 100 to 110 is a weird,
Hmm.
you know, Karen, what do you think?
I don't have any particular objection towards keeping it like the numbers that Kristen did or not. I think we can go through them.
It's just,
Yeah,
this won't get visited for a long time again,
Right.
I'm sure, and it hasn't been,
19 years.
yeah, so
it's been a while.
a $10 increase in 19 years, I don't think is enough.
Okay.
That's just me.
So you would propose 125
Yeah.
for that one? And then go with the 200 and the 250 that I have, or?
Yep.
Okay. Farmer's market vendor fee, that usually kind of correlates to that less than 10 feet. That number came, basically could either go away or should be kept in line with that less than 10 feet, so 125.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
Because they basically are setting up a
the
table
same
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
and creating a retail establishment. The catering permit, again, it's just a 14% increase, 175 to 200. That's an add-on to a regular food establishment permit.
Okay,
So that would be somebody that, you know, has a 25-seat restaurant, but then wants to cater. So make food and take it to an event. So they
Okay.
pay like an addendum there.
So like
Okay.
McGuire's, they
yep,
do catering.
okay,
Mobile food permit, same, a 14%
yeah.
increase.
okay,
Temporary food, you can see I upped the low risk, so this was established. I want to say back in that 06 era, 07 era, where we tried to encourage lower risk menus through our permitting process. What's happened over time, though, is that the board has waived the fees
Okay.
for any of our temporary food permits that are supporting a nonprofit
Profit,
activity.
like.
Okay.
Boosters.
Yeah,
So the boosters, if there's a one-day event for a
Okay.
wrestling match,
Mhm.
we end up waiving these fees
Okay.
anyway. They're far and few of the,
here's a question. When Stonehill does their big food truck thing in the spring, being there before graduation, do we
Well, they
waive?
have food trucks all year long.
Okay, do we waive that? Because there
Yeah.
were,
You gave us the authority to waive that, a couple, maybe not you personally, but a few years ago. During COVID, they started bringing in food trucks a lot.
Okay.
And they notify me, this is who's coming. I
Right.
get,
uh,
Want to go back to revisiting that
Yep.
process?
yeah, I
Okay.
think so. Not to like usurp any authority or anything like that, but
No,
there's,
they did it to offset their offerings to the students. Instead of just giving them, well, at the time it was Sodexo, now it's Bon Appetit,
Yeah.
the provider, give them another
I
option.
mean, we can table that, but that's a lot of revenue there. I think that somebody's profiting, but,
yep, and maybe it becomes more of the way that it used to operate was they could come in and ask you to waive the fee.
mhm,
I'm a food truck, it's gonna cost me either $150 or $175 for the high risk menu, or it's gonna cost me $200 to get a mobile food permit for the entire year. But I'm going to the field day at the schools,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not
Yeah.
making any money on
Mhm.
this.
oh, that I'm completely sympathetic to.
Yep, Fast Flashback Franks, who does the Veterans Day Parade for us. We
Right.
pay them, but they would then have to add more to
Right.
their pricing.
Oh,
in
sure.
order
And
to,
the
Oh, yeah.
boosters have moved towards food trucks as well.
Right.
As opposed to them
Right.
handling all the food.
Yeah.
It's just easier to get a food truck to come and.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't blame
For their
them. I think
event.
it's a food
I
better
mean,
too.
from our
Right.
perspective too, we wish that the state would step in and grant a food truck license
Yeah.
that goes everywhere.
I'm
Not
surprised
town by
it's not,
town.
because it's a mobile restaurant. I
As
mean,
it is.
in fact, these food trucks, I think are cleaner than some of the boosters.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
And safer,
the thing it
but they
away.
have to get licensed in every town that they're in.
Right.
That's frustrating. Yeah.
But if we set the fees and then we can put it on a future agenda to come back and look at how we're gonna process through the temporaries
Mhm.
and the events.
Yeah, we do. I really would want to revisit that if
Okay.
possible.
But are you okay with the
Yes.
1060?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
175?
Mhm.
Okay. The residential kitchen permit, I know I put 125 there. But as I started thinking about it and the time and what's involved in it, I would actually propose that you set it the same as the smallest restaurant, because that is what it is.
Mhm.
Okay.
They're going out
Yeah.
twice a year.
Checking
They're
it
having
out.
to make sure that everything they're producing and packaging for retail sale is being processed
Okay.
appropriately.
Yep,
So I
that's
would recommend that go up to the 200.
That's fine.
Mhm.
And this would be for like your home baker that makes like cakes and cookies or
Yeah,
whatever.
you're very limited as to what you can make in a residential,
Okay.
what they call a cottage kitchen now.
Mhm.
It has to be shelf stable,
Okay.
no
Really?
proteins, so like
Okay.
breads, cookies, brownies.
That kind of stuff.
We have
Yeah.
a spice person,
Okay. Yeah.
you know,
Really? So you
It's
couldn't,
limited.
Can't do meat
You
on top
can't-
of this.
You can't do
Really?
jerky. You can't do,
huh,
pestos or any oil and garlic and those type of things.
Mhm.
It's very limited as to what you
Really?
can make
Because
in a
you-
residential
if you
kitchen.
have a residential kitchen, even though you're a caterer, you cater out of the house or something.
you
You
can't.
can't do that.
Yes, that's
Can't do that, yeah.
illegal,
Oh,
unless
okay.
you have a completely separate catering kitchen that's
Yeah.
permitted as a food establishment.
Gotcha. Huh.
We know that there are people out there that operate under the radar. But it is under the state code, that a cottage kitchen, you have to be producing shelf stable product for retail sale.
Interesting. Okay.
We have about a dozen of them.
So food establishment plan review. Those would just be, that we don't get many of them, but it'd be the 125, and then I recommended the 30, which both represent 20 and 25% increases. They're far and few between.
Okay.
It's when a new restaurant comes in or they're gonna do a complete renovation or something like that.
So in food, I have changes being the food by permit would go 200 is what I recommended, but then 250 and 300.
Mhm.
Retail food, the lowest category would go up to 125. The farmer's market fee would go to 125. And the residential or cottage kitchen permit would go to 200. The rest are as printed, if you want to make a motion to do that and approve it as a slate.
I would like to make a motion to approve all price increases for the food establishment section of this.
Second that,
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? Mills, yes.
Bueller, yes.
All right. So the next category we have is waste removal. We do have a dumpster permit that is an annual permit for every commercial dumpster that is out there. Every business gets their dumpster licensed. It gives us, part of its initial application, we get an opportunity to see where they're placing it, make sure that they are placing it in an appropriate area, that it's got appropriate base that it's being set on.
Non-porous.
We're able to collect who they're using as a vendor, so that in the chance that there is an issue, we have a very quick, easy route to go to. If it's a habitual issue, it's also a permit you can revoke and
Okay.
stop them from having a permit, from having a dumpster. So I recommended a simple 10% increase there, from 100 to 110. The temporaries, that's a hard one for us to police. That's, you know, if you're cleaning out your grandmother's basement and you get a dumpster.
So technically,
It's supposed to be construction too, you know.
you're supposed to get a permit for that.
If you have a dumpster
If you have a
placed on your
dumpster.
property. And it's $20 for a month. Again, it lets us know what's going on, and make sure that the vendors are actually licensed that are dropping these dumpsters, which are the next couple of categories. So transporting offal, those are your septic pumpers. Dumpster service and transport permits, those are the people that drop the dumpsters and service them. And residential curbside are the ones that do drive around on our streets and go to individual homes and collect.
Yearly,
Yearly.
Yes.
So that's a
Waste
yearly
management.
permit. Yeah.
Okay.
And I recommended going to 200 with all of those.
that's fine.
All right, do you want
Yeah,
to?
make a motion for all waste removal fees increase as said.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? Mills, yes.
Bueller, yes.
Okay, septic related fees. The first one is the disposal works installer. Those are the actual companies that put them in the ground. You'll see I recommended going from 100 to 125, which pretty much places us right in the middle of the comp pack. I started to talk about whether or not we should change our structure for repairs versus new construction and the time that's involved with them. I would propose that we get rid of the new versus repair and just make the septic permits $400 across the board.
That's fine. So there's no, you don't have to distinguish between new versus old, it's still the same amount of work and it's covered by both.
I would actually make the argument that the repairs are actually a little
More
bit
involved,
more
yeah.
work and a little bit
That's
more
fine.
intricate. We will leave, I did recommend just, so we do have a small one that is if basically things that don't require engineering, a D-box is broken, a pipe needs to be run, a tank needs to be replaced or reset. I would recommend just taking that from 25 to 50.
Okay,
There's no engineering involved. It's usually us working with the contractor to make
Just
sure
one
the
inspection.
homeowners put right back online.
that's fine.
Oh, large systems over 2,000 gallons a day. We had a $900 fee. I put it to $990. We could make that 1,000 to keep
Yeah.
it even.
Yeah.
Okay. Shared systems, again, those do require quite a bit more on our part as
Yeah.
far as reviewing the
Organization, yeah.
documents. Exactly. I did just recommend that's an additional fee, so they would be paying the 400 and then the $100 extra.
Okay,
So now, as far as just going back to the repair. I
Mm-hmm.
know we're gonna combine on making 400. Does anyone think that's a little steep comparatively to the other towns? I mean, that's, granted, I understand we haven't gone up in forever, but
It's also very hard to compare apples to apples. Some of these towns don't have as many septic systems as we do.
they have sewer and stuff, yeah.
They
Okay.
don't have, I can't
I mean, you're
speak
tied
to-
up all day and so I get it. I get it. I just want to make sure if somebody has a problem that we can support
The choice.
why we're doing what we're doing. So I support the increase. I just
Want to make sure.
want to make
it's even.
sure that but that's fine.
So small shared systems under 2,000 gallons a day. We had $100 one-time fee. I just put it to 110. Sewer lines, so that is when we do have.
Can you just make that 125?
Sure. Sewer lines, those are some of our larger shared system subdivisions where there's actually sewer running in the pipe, and we'll calculate out, because we have to see all of that. So it's just
Per foot.
raising
100 feet.
that from $50 per 100 feet to $55 per 100 feet. Excuse me. Again, you can play with that number. For some of these that didn't have comps or didn't have anything to go by, I just went with a 10%.
Just,
Fine.
okay. I was gonna say
They're far
75. I was
few
gonna say
between.
75.
Yeah,
I would say if you wanted to go higher, 65 would be a comparable number. You know,
Okay.
per section, because we're going out and inspecting per section. And with.
So like an hour of time.
It's like an hour of time.
Okay.
That's a good point. If we're looking at that, modeling off of what some of these things. Now, per innovative and alternative technology, we did have a $300 fee. So this is if somebody needs a fast system or one of those extra pieces to get them closer to groundwater or to remove more nitrogen because they're in a zone 2 and they want that extra bedroom, things like that. Again, I just recommended a 10% increase.
and if someone was redoing everything, they might incur this and all the other ones as well.
They would, so this would be on top of if I were putting an addition on my home, wanted to go closer to the groundwater, I would pay the $400 permit fee and then an additional $330 for that technology piece that oftentimes is again a higher level of review.
Gotcha.
Sometimes there's a deed restriction,
Okay,
Service contracts.
service contracts.
A document that the homeowner knows that the system's going into their signed document that is also put on the permit,
okay.
so.
All right, so we have we have more septic stuff, okay. Soil examination, this is one again where we've always broken out new versus repair. Honestly, they're booking 4 hours of somebody's
Time, yeah.
time. Where
Could be short, it could be long.
could be short, could be long, there's a little on the front end as far as scheduling. If we look at 4 hours and use that number of,
Just 400
Their
across the
rate.
board.
Full first half day, gotcha.
so we do allow the half day or the full day booking. So I don't know if you want to,
Oh, I see.
I'm open to whatever anybody.
I'm fine with 400 for the full day and 200 for half a day.
Yeah.
That's actually very reasonable still, I think,
Yep,
That's on the repair.
on everything.
on everything.
Oh, okay.
So a half day would be 200 and a full day would be 400.
And you feel that when you're repairing, it often is more work than the new, correct?
Well, with perks, it's very similar
Okay,
because we have a little regulation that
Okay.
says you have to do 2 holes and 2 perks.
okay,
And on new construction, you do 2 holes, 2 perks,
So
and then
it's-
2 more deep holes. So
Okay.
you're just really looking at 2 more holes,
okay,
which is minimal time.
okay.
Which is the same, block of 4 hours.
Okay, so just do it by time.
Yep. Groundwater determinations, we don't get a lot of these anymore because everybody's gotten very, very good at, and the board recognized our ability to pick up on models, the color variations that tell us where groundwater is. This is a real old fee where the board had a regulation when I first came to work here that you needed a groundwater reading for new construction between December and April for every single lot. So the
Okay.
last week of April,
Yeah.
we basically were going to subdivisions and $25 a hole going
Yeah.
through 20 lots just to get a water
Yeah.
that might have gotten thrown out because we would have found models when we actually really looked at the system. But we'll keep it in there because occasionally it'll
May
come
need
up.
it, yep.
It also comes up now
Sewer
with some of the
districts.
sewer district stuff.
Okay.
As they're looking for drainage numbers and where to site the bottom of the foundation.
Foundations. Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of the contractors are, well, not a lot. Bill Humphries asked for his subdivision.
Doesn't want what basements.
So Title V inspector permit, that is a local regulation that we have that says in addition to being licensed by the state, they need to be licensed by us. One of the reasons that we did that historically was we can pull that permit a lot quicker if we have a problem with an inspector whose reports are incomplete or whose ethics are being called into question. I would suggest raising that. As you can see, $50 puts us in the middle of the two towns that have comps. The report review fee, I know I recommended 20, but that actually keeps us below even the median. So I don't know, that's every report that comes in. So when a report comes in, typically they land on Tim's desk. He reviews the 18-page report for completeness, accuracy, inclusion of the
Water
water
records.
records and things like that.
So it's an hour,
No,
you think,
no, not to,
to do that? No?
No, probably, I mean, if you have to make a phone call and tell them to change the front page or that they're missing something, I would say there's nothing we touch that really half an hour is a good gauge, which would be probably 30 to
I
35.
would say somewhere between 30 and 50 is what I would propose.
So pick a number.
40.
Okay. All right, so the changes we have there are that we would go to $400 for repair permits, for all permits. $1,000 for the large system ones. The small shared systems have a surcharge of $125. The sewer lines go to $65. Soil testing goes to $200 and $400. And the Title V reports go to $40. Otherwise, it's what I've listed in the schedule.
I will make a motion to accept the new increases for the septic related fees as documented.
Bueller second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, Mills, yes.
Bueller, yes.
All right. Additional fees, some of these you'll see there's a note, we can't touch them. Mass General Law limits, well, actually funeral directors, we could go up to 100, but I don't think, there's 2 of them in town. Our semi-public swimming pools, those do get kind of involved. The more I thought about that and I look at where some of the comps are, we're reviewing water quality. The inspection is at least 45 minutes by the time, I mean, before that, we've calculated out a flow rate that we're looking for on flow meters. There's oftentimes a re-inspection.
That's no joke. My code update class that I took this year for my supervisor's license, it was like 4 hours of it was pools. And it's,
yeah, we're awaiting
Dude.
state regulations.
yeah, the state regs are no joke. I mean, which is, good, but even I didn't realize, I'm like, holy cow.
So we have been at 75 for years. Running this through kind of my multiplier to get it out, I had set it at 100, which is a 33% increase. As you can see, the comps kind of average out probably closer to 150 to maybe even 200. It's up to you guys if you want to just keep that at 100 or change what I've written.
Let's see here, we got 100, 200. I think 150 is
Reasonable.
not unreasonable.
Okay. Construction plan review, I actually have a pretty significant increase there. We were doing, and granted, we've had one Avalon
Yeah.
in recent memory, but it is a very detailed plan review. We've got to look at pump sizes,
Okay.
and I think the correct on that would be closer to $200.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Residential pool siting fee, we very rarely are involved in doing that anymore.
Okay.
They've gotten, our as-bills are so much better and so much more current that we really aren't having to go out and help people locate where their septic field is so that they can.
Okay.
put what you want. So I think a
Last one I did
$5.
was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, they take out a building permit to have the pool be put in, but they also have to upload a copy of their septic. So we just want to make sure the pool doesn't land
On top of
where
it.
the septic is and has the proper setbacks.
Yep.
But
Okay.
How about, I've been asked this, like putting an above ground pool on top of your leach field.
No,
Yeah,
no.
it's a lot of weight.
suffocates it.
Yeah.
Compresses everything.
The next two, we need to leave alone because of statutes. Tanning, I would like to make a recommendation to create something a little bit different on the tanning. Right now, we're $75 for a tanning permit per location. That could be one bed.
I was gonna say, we don't do it per bed.
So
right?
what I would
Yeah.
recommend is that we go to $100 for the location and one bed, and then charge $50 for each additional
That's
bed.
fine.
When we're
fine.
doing them, everything at the front desk is the same across 50 beds, but each bed has signage and and FDA compliance stuff and timers and all that to be checked.
They
And I
need to be
think,
tested individually.
yeah,
Okay.
and I think that makes sense.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And this is yearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one in town right now.
Yeah, Planet Fitness.
They
For years,
just-
we didn't have any.
Right.
Yeah. And who knows if they'll have enough need that they even
Keep
redo it.
it, yeah.
Yeah, they have 3.
Next is body art establishment. You've seen those in front of you. I mean, it's a
Mhm.
typical establishment permit. Again, I just did the kind of what we were looking at around the 10% type of thing and I've recommended 225. The practitioner, that's the individual. We were charging 100. I recommended going to 125.
It's fine.
Seems to be very much in line with the comps.
Mhm.
Tobacco sales, again, a percentage increase would take us to
Mhm.
350, but does kind of put us above a lot of our peers. So if you wanted to leave that one alone, we could. But they have become even more complicated as
No,
well as
I
to
don't
what they
have a problem with it.
Yeah,
have.
with all the.
Go up. That's,
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well permits, $100 one-time fee. I have recommended taking that to 125.
that's right in the middle. That's
Mhm.
fine.
That's fine.
Ignore the next one. We have
Okay.
been advised by town council not to do those.
Okay.
And late fees, we could, we really
Don't
haven't
charge.
used it,
Okay.
to be
It's
honest.
more of a threat to
Yeah,
renew.
yeah.
Let's go.
And the only other one that, I would recommend, and this is based on that whole factor of how much time is
Time.
actually involved. I mean, we could easily make this one
Yeah.
$400. But it is, just so you both know, I think Chris knows this already, is that it can be rolled into the fee
Yeah.
for the actual.
Absolutely.
But I found the minutes from when we approved that in 2012, the board voted to set it, and it was based on 5 hours of the inspector at the
Mhm.
time rate. 13
It's
years ago.
changed, yeah.
So not only have our rates changed, now the time involved is probably add another hour to that because we are the ones responsible for uploading it and getting it set in the
Right.
software for the actual billing.
Mhm.
So if you went with 6 hours and,
It's going up $100.
yeah, I think it's fine.
That's
Yeah.
reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so that's.
Okay,
You
so
wanna vote the other category?
I'm gonna make a motion for the additional fees / other category as proposed with the changes.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, Mills, yes.
Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
Next on the
Okay,
agenda.
meeting date change for
Yes.
March meeting.
March.
So the March meeting is set for, again, the 10th. I am not available that day,
I am not either.
nor is Chris.
Okay.
So we were looking at, would the week before work,
The 3rd.
February
I can do that,
3rd?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm already here for a meeting at 4. Okay.
Yeah, I could do it.
Okay. Perfect.
All
So
the
we
benefits
will,
meeting.
Yeah, the ice.
all right, so we will move that to 3:3?
And 6 o'clock still, right?
Yes. And I believe Jen has already secured this room.
Jen doesn't work here anymore.
I'm sorry, Lindsay. Doing that.
That's okay. Yeah, it's
So,
easier to do a different
the-
Monday than a
Person
Tuesday.
that I
for
met
me.
the other day, that's the new,
That's Lindsay. Yep.
okay, nice.
Yep. I think you didn't need Shay, right? It was.
Who did I
Lindsay?
meet? It was Lindsay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, when
yeah.
you came in to sign that document?
Yeah.
Yes, that was
Yeah, that was
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Yeah, that's our new admin. Shay's the admin over at Frothingham Hall, but has been helping us out if we are empty on Monday nights.
Gotcha.
A need.
Next. Okay, so we have officially moved that meeting to
Yep.
March 3rd.
Yep.
We have some betterments, 109 purchase.
Yes, so both of these houses are in good standing with the town. They both have asked for the 45,000. Obviously, the repairs. And
Motion to approve the betterments for 109 purchase and 113 Highland Street,
133.
133 Highland Street.
Second, 109 purchase and 133 Highland.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, Mills, yes.
Just reminded me of something, though, going back to the fee schedule. Effective date. So we've been in touch with Permitize, since most of our permitting is done online. They said 2 to 4 weeks to get the changes in on their side. 5 weeks puts us at St. Patrick's Day. Do you want to go with that, or do you want to just go with April
I was
1st?
gonna say April 1st.
April 1st. Okay. That also gives people who haven't
Okay.
renewed a chance to go ahead and renew before the rates.
Now, also, how do we educate the public on the fee increases? Or contractors at least, or whatever, like, you know what I mean?
We'll
So,
be able to do blast emails that they're coming.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that then it may spark a little extra. They may all try to get a bunch of stuff in, but
Sure.
we have, because of this permitting platform, we have the ability to send out emails.
okay,
So we'll clean this schedule up. We'll talk to Permitize, get a clearer line from them, and then advise all of these different categories that as of 4/1.
So we changed.
Going up.
the only ones is the engineers, because they're not in Permitize, but we can contact them separately.
Yeah, and I think what we may see is like some of the swimming pools, we'll go ahead and get that, some have already gotten their application in, some of them just do it the first of the year. So we will probably get some applications that are taking advantage,
It's fine.
but it'll work out.
Yep.
Sorry, once we started talking about dates, I was like,
It's fine. I think it's better to just do an even date of a new.
I agree.
staff notes.
Okay.
Busy, it just, you know, when the normal busyness, yeah, the normal busyness.
Anything on the whooping cough? Is that quieted down?
Quieted down, yeah.
Knock wood.
Yep.
Flu is supposedly through the roof right
Pretty real
now.
bad.
Oh.
The COVID, we do still have free COVID kits available in the hallway, and as of last week, you had to restock them.
Good.
They are going out in spurts. But I did see, I mean, flu, not everybody goes to the doctor with
Yeah.
flu, but even, I think we had 2 over the weekend that hit Maven that were actually lab tested and reported, so
Yeah.
flu is
A lot of
high.
people are doing, Walmart sells flu COVID combo tests, so a lot of
Yeah,
patients
CVS
are just,
does too.
CVS sells them, so people are doing that too, so it's a very high circulating volume right now. Flu, RSV, and COVID is the triple respiratory stuff going on right now for everybody.
We're also
And then the
hearing
GI stuff.
the GI, but we're also
Norovirus.
anecdotally hearing strep
Yeah,
Yeah.
strep is, yeah,
with the flu and COVID.
yep, it's all together,
Opportunistic.
all together. Seeing it left and right everywhere.
Member notes. Anything?
No notes. No notes.
I have nothing. But it was good, the fee increases are long overdue.
Yeah, so
That 20 years is,
Mhm. Yeah.
and in fact, I think we should make a note to revisit it in 10 years. I think.
If not even sooner,
You know,
I mean.
I don't see where it's gonna hinder anything. But everything else has gone up, including the cost of everyone's time, and stuff
Mhm.
like that, so I think it's more than reasonable. I got anything else, anyone else?
Nope.
We get a motion to adjourn the Board of Health meeting for Monday, February 10th.
Yes,
July.
correct. Second, the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? Mills, yes.
Times
That's it.
6:46.
Oh,